I am really excited today to have a conversation with a dear friend, a colleague, a partner. Mocha, thank you for being here today and sharing a little bit about your experience with the divine timing cycle and mastering the brain game.
So good to see you, Cindy. Thanks for having me.
So, I want to know a little bit about what your experience was like leading up to taking the mastering the brain game for the first time. What was your life like prior to learning this information?
The rat race, a
Mhm.
hamster wheel, and really an endless search, like searching, like knowing that there was something more out there, but never really finding it, and then thinking you found it, and then you're like, what is, it was this endless search and this desire for more. And it led to endless classes, a lot of judgment, a lot of it was chaos. It's really what it was. It was chaos and just feeling stuck. That no matter what I did, no matter what I tried, I was limited and I was in a box, and it was fear of it all boiled down to everything so material and everything that doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter, but it does matter because it's what makes the world go around. And it was a cycle. And right when you think you'd break the cycle, something else would happen. And it was just this yo-yo effect,
Mhm.
almost like a yo-yo diet of life, of events. So it was I had a great I had a good life, a lot of trauma, a lot of stuff, but when you know it can be better, but you don't know how, it is almost more traumatizing to you.
Yeah, I can
So
feel that, right? Of like, I just keep trying the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Why
mhm.
can't I break through? That's how I felt too, of 30 years of personal development and still stuck in the same damn place.
Yeah, and I think, and you and I, as I've gotten to know you in this journey, you and I have listened to a lot of the same people and
Yep.
a lot of the same stuff and put our money in a lot of the same places.
Yep.
Um, and that it was just mind blowing. So you know all the things too and where it was coming from. And it worked for some people, but what I found fascinating is it would work to a point,
Yeah.
with people, and it would just take them so far, but there was still this, and the people that other programs and things and that it worked for, there
Mhm.
was this pause, and there was almost like this where the body was like, yeah, you got it, but they judged their success still again on the material and not the internal.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So then you go through the program and you've taken it back to back, I think 3 times you took it in a row.
I think, yeah, I did it. I actually did another one you didn't know about, so 4 times.
I
Yes.
love it. So tell me, what is it like after? What was it like after your first experience of going through it?
The first experience was just how my brain works. It was like, okay, this is all mental. I've got to just take notes, do the thing. And I think I treated it like every other program. It was another program, but something also felt different when I was asked if I wanted to do it. I had no idea what it was about. I tried to Google it, couldn't find anything. And then I started to judge the name of it. The game. I don't want to play a game for 10 weeks. What kind? I went through this whole thing because you can find anything on Google, but I couldn't find the brain game and I wasn't supposed to.
Yep.
So I did it. So the first time it was very eye-opening. The first time was just it was eye-opening. It was something that rocked me at my core, but I didn't process it. It
Mm,
just was kind of like the new grocery store, the flashing lights, all the sections that you could come into. And then it was this pause, like, huh, now what do I do with it?
mm.
And that's where I was at in my journey. And then did it again. I actually did it with you. And you have a way of poking the bear. It's like no other. And I think it was more, it was deeper at a different level because
Mhm.
the beginning one for me was about just getting it. And I
Yeah.
wanted to break it down and know all the things and do all the research. And I wanted to see if I could prove you guys wrong. That's my jam.
Yeah.
I don't know why I do that, but I do. I like to, be like, yeah, but did you think about it this way? And then it was like, there's something to this. But
Hmm.
it was interesting, because obviously you don't have to take it as many times as I did. And one of my students actually called me on it. She's like, if this actually works, why did you take it 4 times? And I sat with it and I'm like, she's right. And it was truly the fact that the first 2 times, maybe into the third, I wasn't willing to do the things.
Yeah.
And doing the things were simple things, but doing the things meant I had to go internal. And my entire life had been external. It was, if I read this book, and we're programmed that way, right? Like everything was about the external, down to our shampoos. You're too dry, you're too this, you're too that. We have the fix, right? So I wanted the fix in the bottle.
Hmm.
And then I had, a come to Jesus moment of, oh, I have to do the thing. And that's when it really brain game shifted. So I think I was one of your rare birds where everybody one time and it was mind blowing, and me, I was gonna push it. So
Well, and I think that's part of, I mean, everybody's journey is different, right?
yeah.
And you're not the only one who has taken it multiple times. And I think we're drawn to it in different ways. We've had people who
Mhm.
come in, they do it once, and oh my God, their life is completely transformed. And then we've got people who like to come in and just dig a little deeper and a little deeper. And you're one of
Mhm.
those people because you want to try to prove it wrong. I want to just get underneath there and understand it all and understand all the nuances of it, right? Which I love. I think both experiences are perfect.
Oh, and I tried to blame. I was like, nobody told me I needed an intention. And because I didn't, this is why the program didn't work, right? Like I was one of those. And so but I also, it spoke to me in a way because I love the fact that brain game is dedicated really to anything.
Hmm.
The intention can change and it's a different experience every time. So my experience was not the same. The material might have been, but I heard it different every time. And that's what was so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And, we talk about that from you can brain game your health, you can brain game your finances.
Hmm.
I'm doing a workshop in the online summit, brain game your business, right? So we can use it in different areas. I think sometimes we come at it, especially like for yourself, you didn't know what it was. And so, how do you set a specific intention if you don't know what you're getting yourself into?
True,
Yeah.
true.
So we're just going
Yeah.
to brain
And
game
so even
everything
when yeah,
and then
yeah,
dive
it
down
was
a little
good.
deeper. I love that. So, what do you love most about this work?
that that's an immersion.
Hmm.
It's not a, it's not a modality per se. Like I was a massage therapist and been body worker and all of it. It's not a modality. It is a way of life. And it sounds so cliche, but it's literally how you interact with life and it's in a different approach to life. And it makes you aware of choice, but it also makes you aware that I'm already doing this every day anyway,
Hmm.
but could I do it differently?
Hmm.
And so it's not telling you what you don't already know from a higher perspective. You already know it, but it's putting it in a way that you can really take it in and process it day to day and then create this awareness
Yeah.
to what it is. So it's the aha moments and it's so simple you have to laugh.
Right?
And it's not like it's this, you don't have to, climb a mountain and all of a sudden find enlightenment or something. You don't have to do the stuff that society, I think, makes us believe that we have to do in order to change our lives. And it also doesn't take the time. I think that's one of my favorite things because my 40 plus years of bullshit, literally, I was able to make change in 10 weeks. And even that 10 weeks, the first time I fought it, I still made changes. And so that's what was so fascinating. Brain game one, two, and three for me, there was still change in me. There was still noticeable change that people said in my family
Hmm.
and family and friends that how I was changing. I didn't see it for myself yet. And then really when it took off is when I was willing to accept the 10 weeks for what it was and accept that I actually am not limited in my life.
Yeah. I love that, because I mean, myself included, students who go through the first time and we don't really know what it is and
Yeah.
ourselves into, and I don't have an intention. Nobody told me I needed an intention. And we find ourselves at the end of the 90 days. We haven't done the thing. We skipped over half the homework and we didn't really feel it. We were trying to figure it out. And even then, the transformation occurs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the people that
Absolutely.
go all in and do the thing, of course, there's a transformation. But I think that's the beauty of this program and this work is that no matter how you approach it, it's going to change you in some way for the better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing it made me, I guess, bold opinion, but I truly think as humans, we're all addicts. And
Yep.
it takes the brain game to make you realize you're not. And there's this addictive aspect that's focused on food, drugs, and alcohol.
Yeah.
And what brain and been there, all those.
We do.
But what it made me realize is the biggest and worst addiction is the addiction to the drama and the way we interact with humans. That addiction, I think, is um it's almost as bad as what people go through. And the withdrawal that I went from the drama addiction was something I never saw coming. Never knew that I was addicted to that one, and then having to, not having to, but choosing to be free of that was something else. And now it's almost like watching a movie with people. Like,
Right.
wow, whoa. And realizing what you used to engage in. And that it still blows my mind where I can see it and choose, and it's just not something I'm sucked into anymore. You
Yeah, it's
know,
like watching the movie instead of being a part of the movie, right?
mhm,
I love that you're bringing up this topic of addiction. You know, this is something that I talk about passionately. Being an ex-cocaine addict, those typical, food, drugs, and alcohol, Netflix sometimes, those addictions, they're pretty common. We see them all the time. We can call each
mhm,
other out on them. But there's those subtle addictions that you're talking about, the addiction to drama, and sometimes we don't even notice it, right? Of course, the big
mhm.
dramas, yeah, we notice, but the
Yeah.
little dramas we don't notice. The seeking outside of ourselves. I mean, you and me both. Let's sign up for the next personal development program and the next one,
Mhm.
the next one, the next one, because there's got to be a coach out
Yeah.
there who's going to tell me what to do. Also an addiction.
It is. And when I realized my personal addiction to that alone, and you know, and it's at the time coming into Brain Game was 80, and then everything I've done, I'm near $100,000 now in my addictions for personal development.
Yeah.
And that was just the courses. That didn't include the books. That was just,
Right.
you've got the books, the this, the that, right? And then the addiction to friends. Who's going to tell me, is this what I should do? Do you think I'm going to be successful? And allowing the outside world to judge what you should or shouldn't do based upon, are you benefiting your family? Are you being good to people? Is that really good for your clients? And then you just get caught up in it, and that's where the hamster wheel, like, you just keep adding, the hamster wheel just gets bigger, and you just keep adding more rings to it, you
Right.
know
And
and it
around.
just spins. Yeah. And you're like, oh, I'll get off of this hamster wheel because there's another pretty package over here, and then it's just another hamster wheel. And but it was where I was at perfectly. Like, right, all of those programs and coaching was great for where I was at. They met me exactly for the need. There's no judgment in those programs, absolutely, because they met me whether they knew it or not, where I was at. I don't have to be fully responsible. I can get to here, but I don't actually have to do the thing. And then I might get lucky, you know?
Right. I think I want to really be clear about this too. It's not like taking a program is a problem. It's not like
No. Yep.
learning from somebody is an addiction. That's not what we're trying to say here. It's the looking for the answers for somebody else to tell you what to do instead of
Hmm.
trusting your own inner guidance and that this is where I want to go. So for me now, I still sign up for programs. I have a coach
Yeah.
right now. And, I've been teaching brain games since 2019, but I continue to want to learn. But I'm hiring coaches and going after this education because it's an inner guidance. Go this way,
Hmm.
go that way. It's not, oh my God, this guy's going to tell me everything I need to know about this topic.
Yeah. And that's truly the flip, right? And now, like, when I go to seek out coaches, it's because I've already answered my own questions, and they can help support the journey of that I'm coming from a place of inspiration, a place of, yeah, completely coming from within. And that definitely does make it different. So I was addicted to the external world telling me who I was,
Right. And all
what
the
I could be.
of just do this, and this, and you'll be successful. It doesn't work that
Yeah.
way, right?
No. So I
So
think that addiction's that blind spot for sure.
absolutely. So I want to talk to you about your experience with becoming a brain game coach. Why did you want to become a brain game coach in the first place?
I knew actually after the first one I did it.
Yeah.
That's what kept me. After the very first brain game I did, I went, "Oh my gosh, I want to do this."
Hmm.
And so for me, something that I've loved all of my life is I consider myself an idea maker and creator in that way. Somebody can come to me with any industry, any topic, and I just have this unique innate ability to give flush them full of ideas and different approaches and ways of thinking it. And I've come in to learn that it's a lot of channeling. What comes more through me, it's not me. uh, and I realized with brain game, that's what it did. Brain game allows me to talk to any industry
Hmm.
and allow them to get more curious. And that's what really spoke to me, because I looked at all of the other programs. I was like, oh, I could be Brendan Burchard has a coaching program. Oh, Tony Robbins has a, I can be, like I looked at all it, but it wasn't, even as much as I was seeking outside myself, it wasn't that it wasn't speaking to me. I don't want to be this specific coach,
Yeah.
and it felt like specific niches. And this, you can do anything with it. And
Yeah.
that's what I love, and invite people to come back and find themselves. And
Yeah.
it aligned a lot with what I did with body work, helping people find their voice that they forgot through their body.
Hmm.
And this now included the mental. And it's fascinating. It aligns. I do a technique with people called Rossiter,
Hmm.
and people have to, help themselves. It's not a lay there on the table and just receive and hope to be fixed, right?
Right.
And this is literally for me like Rossiter for the brain. Because you're changing the neural pathways of the brain very quickly, very efficiently, and becoming something new, leaving old patterns and creating new patterns. And so it just, it's that piece that
Hmm.
was missing, and honoring the brain. A lot of programs always taught me to, kill the ego. We don't need our brain. You only need your heart. You don't need, all of it, all of it. The only way you're in alignment is just coming just from your heart,
Right.
and breaking that alone and being like, oh, alignment includes all of me, right?
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
just the heart. There, the alignment is the heart, the brain, and then the feelings, all of that. And I was somebody that was raised through sports, not from family, but raised through sports that, you know, you can't have feelings. Nobody cries. Shut up,
Hmm.
you little girl. You want to play again, right? Like just the, to hide all of that, and emotions were weakness and all of that, versus the using emotions as fuel to actually make changes in your life. And I never saw that that could be a thing. And
Yeah.
then if it was emotions, it was, oh, now it's going to take years and some Prozac and some, and that's how, that was the answer was, well, we can, you can do top therapy and Prozac, and you can go cry and tell everybody about your problems. And I'm not knocking talk therapy. I did it, but it didn't work. And I didn't, and now I understand why it doesn't work. At least, it works. But again, all of those things are meeting people where they're at.
Hmm.
And it just depends on where you're at in order, do you want to do something different?
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much. Use your emotions as fuel. That is good. Yeah. So you decide to become a brain game coach. You decide that
Hmm.
this is what you want to do. And you come into Brain Game Boot Camp with me as your coach who likes to poke the bear sometimes. Tell me what your experience was like in boot camp.
I needed brain game to work with the emotions of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that, where that came from was just you realize that business doesn't have to be so hard,
Hmm.
but the way, and that was really it. It was just, it was amazing because all the simple stuff. And generally, if we're taught to throw up all over our business, and then magically we should be successful. And then there's some industries where they teach you. I'm in one of them now, where they teach you the modality, but they don't teach you the business side.
Yeah.
So then you learn. And so what was amazing is I built a great successful business, not by a dollar amount, but a business that I loved.
Hmm.
um it it didn't bring me a lot of money. It brought me a lot of joy, fulfillment, and people, but I was definitely broke. But on the flip side of it, everything I learned was from somebody else. The shoulds, the coulds, the woulds. So it was very fascinating to learn a business based upon personal inspiration and to given the knowledge of the how. There
Hmm.
is still that how approach. And the way you broke it down, it wasn't overwhelming and it flowed. And the fact that there was a divine timing cycle that it flowed with was very fascinating. And the bit by bit and all the stuff that I thought I needed to create a business, I didn't. Because everybody's like, you need a website, you need the things, right? And then when I was like, oh, wow, I've wasted a lot of time, effort in a lot of the wrong places. And so when I once I let go of that judgment of self, right? It was amazing. It was amazing. And then I was able to take it and actually help with just even some of my students, as they're doing their business. Well, look at it this way, right? Because there were no secrets. It
Nope.
it just was it was out there and open, but it allowed them to like just take it, here's one step at a time. And even in those steps doesn't mean that you're waiting forever for, you know, to see. You can manifest really quickly. So to do the boot camp, man, I'd say do the boot camp even if you weren't going to be a brain game coach. There's so much value in doing it
Mhm.
that it's really has nothing. It could be its own course. It doesn't even need brain game,
Yeah.
even though that you can apply it through brain game, but it's a standalone course, and that's what I love about it.
I love that. And you're not the only one who's brought this up, is that it fits into any business, right?
Mhm.
Whether you decide to be a brain game coach or not, you can, we've got one coach out there who's training dogs with that business training.
Yeah.
We've got coaches who are using all of their other modalities within that, within that, um, I want to call it a box, but it's not a box.
Get out of the box.
No boxes here. It is a business in a box, but you get to stand on top of the box or beside the box or away from the box, and you still have that foundation to stand on.
And I love it too because it also points out the areas that you may be really strong in and areas that you need growth. And
Yeah.
it does it very gentle. And then there's the platform that we can go back in and watch and have the videos and all of that. So like, okay, I know that I maybe need to work on this area. For me, it's for me, it's follow up.
Yeah.
Like I'm great gung ho going through, but for me, I found that it was follow up. I already knew that, but
Yeah.
I didn't know prior how to make it better or do the things. And you basically were like, okay, here's how to do that very simply. But I also was great at follow up in previous lives of business because the platforms, it brought them in and they just gave it to you. It was how they did it.
Yeah.
So now to do it coming again from self, you know,
Mhm.
that was a different piece of it, everything coming from self. And
Yes.
then you become your business and
Yeah.
you come out of like, I came from a business in a box and now I am my business and here's what I have to offer. And then you start to filter out the people that really are there for you.
Right.
And that's what it also taught me is that I'm not for everybody and I don't want to be for everybody. I
Mhm.
want to be for those specific people. And then in that, then other people will be for their people and then their people. And then that's how you end up reaching the world versus thinking, I've got to be there for everyone.
Right.
And
Exactly.
not everybody will hear this. Not everybody will like what I have to say. And great, because there is somebody for them too.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Mocha, I feel like I could talk to you all day about this. I know you and I get all lit up and like, oh, and then
I know.
this and this. But I want to thank you for having this conversation and really sharing your experience with not only going through that divine timing cycle and understanding the change that occurs, but sharing your experience with boot camp and, maybe there are people out there who are interested in working with you. So if you are watching this and you want to work with Mocha, be sure to go to my website and go to the coaches directory. Mocha is featured there. And if you want to become a brain game coach or you just want to take the business training, come to my website and that's available there as well. But Mocha, before we end this conversation, I want to ask you, what's your vision for this work? Where do you see this impacting the world? And what would you say to those who are curious and not quite sure?
Hmm. I think I think brain game will impact everyone because it can bring them back home. Home meaning themselves.
Mhm.
Home not to this external. Um, it really removes you from that victim aspect. And you just come back home, you find peace, you can find freedom. Shit still happens, as we say in brain game, but it's knowing that you can always come back home and find yourself, and then you have the ability to filter what's truly important and live life by personal design, not world design.
Mm, yes, I love that so much. Thank you, Mocha, for this conversation. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, so always good to talk to you and see you, Cindy.